aboard, Blue Jay fans, for the holiday edition of the On Fek Circle, brought to you by JFtC. I am the madman across the border, the Fekless Wonder, Steve Fek. And in case you didn't know, I am the duly appointed Shadow General Manager of your Toronto Blue Jays. So if you're suffering those holiday blues because there's not much happening there coming out of the front office, maybe you're wondering if this is Santa's putting coal in your stocking, the equivalent of that giving you really not a whole lot to be excited about. It's okay. We're going to make it better. I always make it better on some level. I'm not saying it's better and it's really you're going to be happy about it, but it's going to be better. It's okay. It's okay. I want to start off by thanking everybody. The last On Fek Circle, we had a guest shadow general manager, and Lawson was awesome. He was just absolutely awesome. There's a lot of positive feedback on social media, on your YouTube page. So I really do thank you for rallying around. I thought Lawson had some great ideas. And really, he probably put more out there that made sense than Ross Atkins has in his entire stay here since 2016. Lawson got it done in about 35 minutes. So that just goes to show you what we're up against here, Blue Jay fans. But don't get down. It's the holidays. And certainly for all of our friends of the Jewish faith, happy Hanukkah. This is the third night of Hanukkah. We've got Christmas coming up this weekend. There's Kwanzaa. There's all sorts of things to be festive about. So don't let some dope in the Blue Jays front office get you down. Okay. Santa Fek here is going to bring you some Christmas cheer here in just a little bit. But before we get into the heart of the show, I do want to throw out a ceremonial first pitch. As many of you probably already know, and if you don't know, I'm going to fill in some blanks here for you. Jays from the Couch is heavily involved in raising awareness and raising funding for the fight against ALS. We partner with ALS Canada in the JFtC versus ALS campaign. If you go to our website, JFtC.com, and you scroll down a bit, I mean, it's going to be hard to scroll down right away because there's so many great articles on so many terrific topics. There's been some interesting analysis of potential fits for free agency, potential fits via the trade market. So you should check that every day to bring yourself up to speed on what's happening in Blue Jays land. But if you do make it down after reading those articles, you'll see a little area that says JFtC versus ALS. Click on there. And the reason I'm talking about it now during our holiday show is maybe you've got that last minute gift that you forgot about. Maybe there's that hard to buy for friend, family member, whatever it would be. You just don't know what to get at the store because no matter what you get this person at the store, they're going to complain about it. You can make a tax deductible cash donation to ALS Canada from the Jays from the Couch website in whatever denomination that you wish. Don't let your feelings about the person you're buying for necessarily detract from what you want to contribute. There have been so many terrific breakthroughs this year. Medications, treatments. Again, there is no cure for ALS. ALS is still, unfortunately, a death sentence. The idea is to try to give that quality of life to not only the person suffering with ALS, but also the family members. It's a really difficult thing to have to watch a loved one go through. And if you're watching here on our YouTube channel or on Facebook or on Twitter, you see a little graphic up there also talking about kind of showing you some pretty cool swag from the Jays from the Couch radio family of programs, if you will. You've got the Jays from the Couch standard radio t-shirt. There is you can get a t-shirt or long sleeve 3/4 jersey showing baseball, 3/4 baseball sleeve jerseys. There are posters, there's clocks, there's pillows. Each of the individual shows, the Jason the Couch radio podcast, has its own design. This show, the On Fek Circle, which has the really, really cool flaming microphone that our senior editor and founder, Shaun Doyle, founded. And then there's Sunny Side of the Dome. All of those programs have merchandise there. The best thing about buying something from the merchandise shop, okay, maybe it's not going to arrive specifically on the holiday itself, but you can let them know it's coming. Take a little screenshot of what's going on there. 100% of the profits go directly to the JFtC versus ALS campaign. So you're not only giving a gift that someone's really going to enjoy, especially the Blue Jay fans in your life, that's really going to enjoy sporting and wearing it around. You're making a direct impact, because it's not sure. There's research and there's doctors and there's all these programs that are involved, but sometimes the dollars go directly to something as simple as helping a family, get a wheelchair for the person with ALS, or help them with transportation back and forth to physical therapy and doctor's appointments, or whatever it be. There's a lot of practical things that ALS Canada helps with. So please do consider making either a cash donation directly. It is tax deductible there at jasonthecouch.com, or go to our merchandise shop, Redbubble. Quality stuff, quality merchandise. I mean, I've had this shirt for 3 or 4 years, and Lord knows how many times I've spilled something on it, put it through the washer or dryer. It still holds up well. It's high quality merchandise. So please do consider that as a holiday, either gift to yourself, contributing to ALS Canada, or for some great gift ideas for friends and family. Time now for a Fekless Wonder. And, last year on the podcast, we kind of had a sort of a fake news kind of an article where we sort of created all of these holiday programs that Rogers Communications and the Blue Jays ownership was developing. And I thought we should kind of revisit that, because I wondered, this year, what kind of programs would be appropriate? I mean, if Rogers literally was using its app or Sportsnet or any of the media outlets that they own, what kind of programming could be put out there? Now, the first thing I thought of, especially now since Hanukkah is going on now, 8 nights. This is the 3rd night through December 26th. I thought we could have a very inspired logo on Sportsnet or any of the Rogers apps where they were going to release these programs. But it would be a Manoa. It wouldn't be a menorah. It would be a Manoa. So each night there would be a new profile pic, if you will, an action photo, perhaps, of our favorite Blue Jay starter, Alek Manoah, one of the stars of the most recent All-Star game, certainly a star going forward for the Blue Jays. So we could have a Manoah. So we would have, at this point, we would have maybe a Manoah fist bump for number 1, and maybe a nice stop action photo of him going into his motion. We would have something for each of the 8 nights of Hanukkah up in the corner on Sportsnet on any Rogers format. And I actually planned out in advance, I would have asked Shaun Doyle to actually create that. So there would be something there to kind of give you an idea. But you guys are pretty in tune with everything. You can just visualize having a Manoah in the corner of your screen as you're watching some of this fine Blue Jays holiday programming. Where else could we do? What kind of holiday favorites could the Blue Jays come up with this year? So, I was kicking it around, and I'm like, well, Charlie Brown Christmas is a traditional holiday favorite. So why not feature one of the Blue Jays up and coming prospects and call it a Dasan Brown Christmas. So it would be an animated tale. And it's following a very promising, very talented Blue Jays center field prospect who, despite giving his best efforts and making significant progress at each level, he continues to hear and be told that the team needs a center fielder to win the championship. But that didn't get Dasan down. He still had the faith. So when that optimistic Dasan gives an oral report about his dream of becoming the Toronto center fielder, his classmates just burst out laughing and they taunt him. Now, in this scene in your mind, I want you to listen for the voice of Ross Atkins as the teacher. Because in the Peanuts classics, the teacher is always wah wah, wah wah wah. And nobody does wah wah, wah 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 quite like our own Ross Atkins. I mean, it's a spot-on impression of that classic Peanuts gag every time he does a press conference. So not only are you involving, prospects, you're bringing in, the core member of that front office there. But now back to our plot. So just stick with me and just imagine it in your mind, how this is all playing out. So now in frustration, Dasan Brown cries out, "Can anyone tell me the true meaning of being a Blue Jays prospect?" Then the room goes dark, screen goes dark, and a spotlight suddenly shines. And it locks on to an older student in a KT Wiz uniform. And if you don't know what the KT Wiz is, it's a team over in the Korean Baseball League. Now, this character is voiced by former Jays prospect and outfielder Anthony Alford. And that child, voiced by Anthony Alford, calls out, "I can tell you the meaning of being a Blue Jays prospect, Dasan Brown. You will be told you are the future. You are the savior of the franchise. They'll even give you occasional chances to play for the Blue Jays up in the major leagues. But in reality, the front office will play every cast-off piece of crap outfielder they can sign before they ever give you a real shot at your dreams. So you'll have to follow your star halfway around the globe for your saving grace and your chance at a real professional career." Now, this heartwarming tale will conclude with the entire class breaking out, just like at the end of Charlie Brown Christmas, the Dasan Brown Christmas, the entire cast will break out and sing "Let's Go Blue Jays," while there's a silhouette of the teacher escorting little Dasan out the door. And he's going to slap a little sign on his back, like, in school used to put kick me, or, I stink, or whatever, those little signs. Ross Atkins' silhouette character is going to put a DFA sign on Dasan Brown's back. And that's how it would conclude. A Dasan Brown Christmas. Now, I'm doing this partially tongue-in-cheek, but that's the problem. I mean, the Blue Jays draft all these guys and they build them up, but they just never either develop the way that they should, or they're never really giving a legitimate shot under the leadership of Ross Atkins. So that would be like the 7 p.m. Eastern time thing. Because you want the kids to want to be awake still. I know they stay up late on Christmas Eve, but we want the kids awake. So, and they would have, it would be a fun little deal. We'll dress up somebody, in a Snoopy kind of costume. I don't know, Boba Fett, because he's got the flowing long, he kind of looks like a labradoodle a little bit with the hair and everything. So maybe we'll have him, voice, the Snoopy character in there. So that would be the first program, I think, this year that we would want to develop. But, the crown jewel of the Ted Rogers Neighborhood, if you will, network, the holiday programming that Rogers would put out on Sportsnet, would be a holiday original. A Rogers Communications holiday original called The Atkins Clause. Now, it's going to star former Jays general manager Alex Anthopoulos. And, AA's character is an overworked, underappreciated Blue Jays executive who is on the verge of realizing his childhood dream of leading his team to the World Series. But then suddenly, at the office Christmas party, somebody buys AA's character, an elf named Mark from Cleveland, and places it on his shelf. And it just stares down at AA's character. And AA is really on edge, and he's really worried about it. And then he's kind of thinking, how spooky is this? And then his world really truly is turned upside down because the elf starts talking, and he uses a magic snowball to show what it would really take to satisfy management's expectations of a Blue Jays general manager through the eyes of the ownership group. So that despite all the successes on the field, AA's character realizes that he's faced with a decision, just like in the movies, the Santa Claus, he's faced with a decision. Do I sell my soul to be able to get this team, shape it as ownership wants it to be and as his direct boss may want it to be? Or does he realize that he just doesn't have what it takes to act like that and think like that ideal general manager? And, the little Mark elf on the shelf there also shows like a little dream sequence. And there's another executive that is considered the ideal replacement. And that guy is, of course, Ross Atkins. And Ross, basically goes by what the model coming down from above is. He doesn't follow his instincts. He doesn't do everything that it takes. He doesn't act aggressively to get those great players. He just plays a role. It's almost like a Stepford GM, if you will. So Alex's character in this movie escapes on the first plane to sunny Southern California. And then the very next scene, it kind of fades out of Alex landing, in LA for another opportunity. And then it reemerges with him in Atlanta and a real chance at fulfilling his dreams of building a World Series champion. So there's a common thread of real life in this movie, in the Atkins Clause here. But the movie closes. Alex is going on the parade, and his team has just won the World Series. But the movie closes with a shot of the ideal GM character, played by Ross Atkins. He's sitting in the general manager's office, looking out over a scene, representing what that vision of the Toronto baseball landscape would be once he took over responsibilities and AA moved on to fulfill his boyhood dream. And really, it's a landscape, it's a scene that had been foretold millions of years ago. Under this ideal GM, the Toronto baseball landscape would turn into what had been foretold millions of years ago. It will become a vast, barren wasteland covered with ice. Then you cut to the credits. So those are just some ideas, some feckless wonders of holiday programs that Rogers could have done this year. Ideally, we'll keep this tradition going forward as we go on there. If it seems a little harsh that I'm kind of painting Ross Atkins, in a casting him, no pun intended, in a bad light. I think, what do I say at the end of the movies? All the characters are fictitious. Any resemblance to real life people and scenes are just coincidence. So that's basically what I'm saying here. But that's what we could be looking. If Rodgers had done it this year, I think that's the kind of programming that we could have looked forward to. Let's get down to some serious baseball here. Let's go to the Shadow GM report, because again, I am the duly appointed Shadow General Manager of your Toronto Blue Jays, and as I did last week when I brought Lawson on, I'm looking for the ideal candidate to replace Los Atkins. Ideally, would I love it to be me? Sure, but I mean, look at me. I'm old. Okay, my time is almost there. So, do you really want to put an old, bitter old man like me in the general manager seat? No. But a shadow GM, just like if you were a shadow, minister in a parliamentary system of government, that person doesn't necessarily become that particular job, but he plays a role in not only pointing out the foibles of the existing ruling government, but also in finding and recruiting and training and shaping the replacement candidate. So for right now, we have Lawson. I still have not had AA return any of my phone calls. I'm going to send him the clip of me casting him as a star in a Rodgers communication thing. Hopefully that might catch his interest. But I mean, again, he's a real GM. He's actually making trades. He's actually doing signings. He's actually looking at his roster and acting aggressively to fill needs. So I understand that I'm a little bit lower, as far as priority goes, as far as returning those calls. Maybe during the holidays when things are a little more quiet, I'll get an email or some kind of like free 1-2-3 greeting card from AA, and we can talk about trying to recruit to bring them back. But I sort of want to take a look at where we are at this holiday season. And we're coming up on a new year. The time that you're making resolutions. I don't want to make resolutions as your shadow GM, but I do want to point out that it's almost the first of the year. We're almost into 2023. The next baseball season is 2023. This isn't 2019 or 2017 or 2020 or 2021. It's not even 2022 anymore. It's a 2023 baseball season. So we need to start preparing ourselves for what is out ahead there. But I kind of want to step back and ask you guys the question. Is Ross Atkins meeting expectations? Has he been opportunistic with the signings that he's made and the trades that he's made? Or is he missing the opportunities to fill the real needs, not the opportunistic needs, but the real needs that this team has to fill in order to reach the World Series in 2023? Now, of course, the first big move was trading Teoscar Hernandez, which I personally applauded. That's not a knock on Teoscar Hernandez as a hitter or as an outfielder, or certainly not as a person or as a teammate from all reports. But, based on what he was going to earn in salary and based on the shrinking amount of team control, trading him for a reliever that's going to be a valuable leverage reliever this year and a piece that could very well be a leverage reliever in the very near future for a guy that you're really only going to have around potentially for 1 year, because how are you going to be able to afford what his asking price is? Look at some of the contracts going out now. You don't think Teoscar Hernandez is not going to hold down a contract similar to that? I thought it was a pretty good move. It freed up salary so that if I, as the shadow general manager, was making decisions, I would have immediately gone out and aggressively found the pieces that I need. Specifically, a center fielder, a left-handed bat, in addition to the rotation, deepening of the bullpen. So now you could say that Atkins did just that. He signed Kevin Kiermaier, again, a signing that I really, really like. And he signed Chris Bassett, another high annual value, relatively extended term contract to bring Chris Bassett in to fill the Ross Stripling role. Now, based on the money that Ross Stripling ultimately got, why didn't they sign Ross Stripling? I have theories about that, but I don't. I want to make sure that our liability insurance is paid up before I put that out there. So let's focus on that signing. And I keep saying signing. Notice I'm not saying trade. He's trading money out, but Ross Atkins is spending Daddy Rogers' money again. And based on players that have moved and various deals since the end of the regular season, all the way through the winter meetings and up to this present day, Ross he just doesn't cut it. Ross simply does not cut it when it comes down to trading in the offseason. And even during the trade deadline, he's always like the last dog at the ball. That's not what trading Teoscar Hernandez should have resulted in, than just throwing more money at a pitcher. And again, Chris Bassett's a very talented. He's an all-star caliber pitcher. A lot of people felt that they didn't have the pieces in there and they weren't going to get Ross Stripling. But Ross Atkins, and you can see it in press conferences. I was only half joking when I said Ross's voice would be the teacher in that Charlie Brown holiday send-off that would be Blue Jay centric, where he says, wah, 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 wah. Because that's basically all he says. And that smugness, that look on his face, I swear if I could reach through the screen, I would end the rain there because I would just strangle him there in front of the entire world when he does that stuff. And I want to relate a story when I would criticize him about, him on the trade market and his perception. Mike Hazen, the president and general manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, came on MLB Central, I believe that it was. And they did during the winter meetings, and he did a really nice interview. And the very last question was a great one. They said, okay, you've worked with some great, probably Hall of Fame caliber front office people in your career. Who would you say had the most impact? And he went back to his days in Cleveland as an intern, and he talked about Chris Antonetti and John Farrell when John Farrell was in charge of scouting. He even went back to John Hart and Dan O'Dowd, who was only there a short time, but they brought him in as the intern originally. Talked about Mark Shapiro. Went to Boston, talked about Theo Epstein, talked about Dave Dombrowski, Terry Francona even. And he talked about, well, it would probably be Dombrowski because of this, but blah, blah, blah. But notice, going back to Cleveland, who did I not mention? He did not mention the name Ross Atkins. He didn't attempt to form an R to start saying Ross. Totally disregarded him. Heaped a lot of praise on Chris Antonetti, but no mention of Ross Atkins. That to me, was a very telling perception of Ross Atkins among his peers. And certainly when many of you, just like I, watch him in news conferences and watch him get so upset, not get upset, but just be so smug and just be like, well, it's the process, and well, we have this, and something has to get done. So for me, while Ross Atkins bought some shiny new toys into the fold here, okay, he let a very valuable family member go his own way. and Teoscar Hernandez. Kevin Kiermaier, I think, is going to be an under-the-radar kind of signing. Chris Bassett, good pitcher. He really is still all over the place. I mean, he is not aggressive. He is not focused. He does not take no for an answer in his pursuit of building this Blue Jays team toward a World Series type of deal. So we're going to talk a lot more about Los Atkins between now and spring training. We're on every other Tuesday through the off season here at the On Fek Circle, 6 p.m. Eastern time on a Tuesday. Don't forget, Karen Suter's Sunny Side of the Dome. It's every other Thursday during the off season, 6 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch it live on YouTube, our Facebook page, on Twitter. You can listen to it and download it as an audio podcast at Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. You name the finer podcast place, you're going to find both of our shows. But the show that made all of this possible, Jason from the Couch radio podcast, every other Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, hosted by our editor and founder, Shaun Doyle. He's very kind to let Karen and I jump onto that podcast with him, talk about the Blue Jays. Some of it is analytics-based. Some of it is very serious. There's some very spirited discussions. We do have our fake news segments where we try to have a little bit of fun like we did earlier on in Fekless Wonders with what's happening in Blue Jays world. You all have a blessed and terrific holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Bon Noel, Feliz Navidad, however you want to say it. It's coming from our hearts. We wish all of the best for you. It's been a terrific 2022. This will be the last On Fek Circle of 2022. We'll be back to you in 2023. And ideally, the Shadow General Manager will have an announcement about Alex Anthopoulos coming back to head up the Blue Jays front office. Thanks for watching.